By the end of this video, you will know exactly what client centricity is, how is it different from business centricity, and how to best work with this concept. Without further ado, let's begin. Hi, I'm Dr. Bart and I'll be your product management teacher. Today, let's look at a concept called client centricity. What is it? Gartner.com provides us with the following definition. Customer centricity is the ability of people in an organization to understand customers' situations, perceptions, and expectations. Boring. Instead, let me put it into more understandable words. Something that can better resonate with you. Client centricity is a philosophy where you evolve your product according to client satisfaction and happiness metrics, not business metrics. So basically, rather than be the money chaser, you chase over client satisfaction with the product to appeal to them, to make sure that your customers, users really enjoy using your product and get the best of it. You could say that it should be the same, but really it isn't. To illustrate that, let's look at the typical business metrics. Those would include the revenue, the lifetime value, and the income that the product brings. That stand to sort of an opposition to client-centric metrics like NPS, Net Promoter Score, so the metric that describes how likely a user is to recommend your product. Another metric would be client user retention, so how likely it is for the user or client to stick with your product, or simply product rating from 1 to 5, 1 to 10 stars, you name it. However, the world is not black and white. You can have sort of hybrid metrics that are both business and client-centric, like the sales conversion, so how likely it is to convert a trial user to a paying user, or simply feature usage. If you introduce some new functionality to your product and how many people actually are actively using it. And that can be both client and business-centric, depending on what the feature does. In my opinion, what you want to do is to be client business-centric in this order. So you start with client centricity, you make sure that the product is performing very well for the user, that it solves the issue that the product is supposed to solve, while keeping the finance healthy. Because you can't be in a situation where the NPS is maximum, everyone rates the product 10 out of 10, but at the end of the day you are functionally running a charity because it is too expensive to run product at the quality at the NPS that you are running it. And that's sometimes happening with the startups that are not bringing any revenue, but instead run out of investors' money, like Uber did or does for the longest time. I haven't checked their financials in a while, but I don't think that the pandemic and the current situation really helped the business. I would say that in terms of having a client business-centric approach, Skype is a good example because we are building a product that is supposed to be great and appreciated by the users. We put a lot of attention in having the NPS high, but at the same time, we don't forget about the monetizing part of Skype and want to make sure that the offer is very good, and it's competitive, and helps us to maintain this great philosophy and this great product. So you now know what client centricity is, but how to achieve it, how to go through the old school method of optimizing for revenue and instead optimizing for what clients think of the product. And let me say the difference here, like the fundamental one that I don't think I didn't mention previously, is that while the business-centric model is all about getting as high as profit as possible. The client-centric one wants the clients to be the most happy and assumes that a great product that is beloved by its users will naturally lead to better income and profit in the long run. Anywho, coming back to how to achieve that client centricity. Start with making sure that you actually track the NPS. You ask users whether they are likely to recommend your product and let them comment, let them voice their concerns or things they do not like in the product. That will, in time, generate a report of bugs and features missing that users need. Obviously, a single feature request doesn't force you to change your roadmap, but if you are starting to see patterns, by all means start to investigate further and make a call whether the requested feature should appear in your product or not. That is a bit of a client-driven roadmap, which the users are likely to really appreciate. In terms of the product itself, be sure to put more emphasis on the UX so that the product is easy to use. That will drive higher ratings, higher NPS, and also will make sure that the problem that the users came to your product to solve will be solved, because the UX will help them. Nothing that requires long training and specific manuals will be that much successful. But having said that, I realize that some software is very specialistic and has to be complicated. So there's some balance to strike here anyway. Other aspect here is to make sure that you are in touch with your users aside from the NPS surveys, that you start polls, that you allow people to comment and communicate with you. Maybe start a Reddit thread for your product and make sure that if someone is engaged enough to share their opinion, they can easily do that. That way, you might collect some negative feedback and bad opinions, but nothing gives you the right level of negativity like an exit survey. Understanding why clients no longer want to use your product is the key to increasing their retention, to making sure that you don't make the same mistake that you did with that previous client. Of course, it's not possible to ever get 100% retention, right? Things happen and people may leave your product due to reasons completely unconnected to it. But that doesn't excuse you from trying to optimize that particular metric. Now, nothing these days can break a product like a bad monetization scheme, like those mobile games that ask you to purchase coins or whatever currency all the time, right? I, for example, am a player in a game called Dragon Ball Legends that, in my opinion, strikes the best balance, giving you the opportunities to spend real money, but also gives you enough currency to run it for free. And it did, for me, what I think is the optimal way to get the user to monetize. And I think it's the same with the game League of Legends when I still played it a few years ago, on and off until this day. But what those games achieved with me is that I wanted to buy something, not because I really needed or I wanted to have some vanity. It was really, I had so much fun with this game. I would like to pay the developers and the team for my fun, which obviously is a philosophy that I hold, and not all of users can have spare buck to show this appreciation. But with the high NPS, they can tell other people about this game, like I just did about 2 for you, and perhaps those users will be more likely to monetize with this non-aggressive, non-invasive way that those games presented with me. Finally, being master communicator is something that you need to practice as a great product manager that is client-centric. Make sure that your users and clients know what's happening with your product. They have a glimpse into the roadmap. They know what's coming, and they know that when something goes wrong, there will be communication, there will be messages, and they will know what's going to happen with their favorite product, or at least the product they use often enough to care about that communication. And that's it. That's all I have for you for this week in terms of client centricity. But this is only a small aspect of product management. If you want to learn more, if you want to find out more, come and check out my courses on Udemy and Skillshare. Links are now on the screen. And also, like, share, subscribe, come back for new videos. Check out the ones that are already here. And I'll see you in the next video. See you soon.